market cap that's 60. Going crazy, but Ethereum layer 2s have been around for some time. So if we know that Ethereum, this space could grow by multiple 15. And we see that analysts are bullish.
You want to log into it, see if you can
The
hear it?
Ethereum layer 2 space. You can see here that VanEck projected that Ethereum layer 2 will reach $1 trillion market cap within 6 years. I'm not quite that optimistic, but I do believe that Ethereum layer 2s will continue to grow, as will Bitcoin layer 2s. So if we look at the assets that are currently
I'm trying to go on both because there's different comments on both.
we have ERC20 tokens, which have a market cap of about $1.7 billion. The largest one is called 40, $819 million. Anyone hold ERC20 tokens? We got some hands. Great. All right. Those we filtered for the crowd. All right. So SATS is the second most valued ERC20 token at $544 million. Also, Runes is in there with $643 million. But if we really take critical eye and look at the diversity of applications and tools in the Ethereum ecosystem, there's really no comparison. Bitcoin really lags behind, and we don't have these kind of sophisticated dashboards and tools. Most of what we have in the Bitcoin space is just simple data that we have protocols and layers. So it's evidence that Bitcoin really is in its early stages. After almost 20 years, still the rising ordinals that we can use this kind of type to build on Bitcoin, and especially if we can value proposition, secure, decentralized.
Can you make it the aux?
There's this massive opportunity to grow.
I don't think so, bro.
work. So, oh, this didn't show up. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I have my biases, but I am most optimistic about this first category of
Bitcoin layer twos, ones that are using Bitcoin's native features. So with this, we can get superior security because we're relying on the security of the Bitcoin chain itself. We're not offloading, onto some new kind of superior technology that people want to create. It's just Bitcoin and the trust of Bitcoin. And there's also a lot of things about Bitcoin that are underutilized. And the buzzwords here are partially signed transactions and atomic swaps. If you ever bought an ordinal, you've used a partially signed transaction, and you notice that you don't go on OpenSea. You're doing this you're trading in a decentralized way. And these tools of Bitcoin can be used to create new kinds of user experiences and systems that we just haven't seen with the I guess EVM or other smart contract platforms that have been dominating. We can do things that just weren't possible before. And yeah, I acknowledge I have biases, but they are rooted in long-standing history. So these EVM and cross-chain bridge layer twos are building on things that have been criticized for a long time. People have lost billions of dollars in bridge hacks, and the EVM has been criticized since the early days of the project. This is 2016 when the Ethereum mainnet wasn't even a year old. You have these prominent figures in the Bitcoin community saying that it was not going to work out well, and they had ideas for how you could build a smart contract platform that would actually work. We all know the industry today is consumed with, well, maybe not in this place, this is a Bitcoin bar, but outside of these walls, the blockchain industry is consumed with proof of stake and account model chains and the EVM. But it should be noted that these concepts are not technologically rooted in Bitcoin itself. You could have come up with these things without ever seeing Bitcoin. And the true innovations of Bitcoin are proof of work and its UTXO model. But the problem is much of the industry has chosen this path of account model chains and proof of stake, and they've planned out a roadmap of what will probably be decades of R&D. But personally, that's not the path I follow, and I hope other people don't as well, because I think that the real future of the industry is in what got us here to begin with, and that is Bitcoin. And this chart shows that projects that are building using Bitcoin's native features are growing slowly. This is the green line here, but continuing to grow. While you can see that the blue and the orange lines have kind of plateaued as hype around these systems has trailed off. Which brings us to CKB, which is a smart contract platform that's inspired by Bitcoin and intends to generalize Bitcoin's UTXO model and allow for new kinds of applications and give unparalleled power to the hands of developers. And we're here tonight to talk about one thing that people are building using CKB, and that is the RGB++ layer, which promises to bring a new era of programmability and scalability to Bitcoin, which if anyone has questions, we have a lot of acronyms, we have a panel, feel free to ask questions. We're here. So with RGB++, Bitcoin and other UTXO chains can leverage smart contract capabilities without introducing cross-chain bridges into the equation. Fungible and non-fungible assets can be issued. We can even have different amounts of assets issued on different chains, but all being the same asset. And because of the UTXO model, every user's assets are actually held in their hands. If you ever go to spend your Bitcoin, you need to sign with your keys in order to spend your Bitcoin. But if you spend your USDC on Ethereum, you're really just trusting a smart contract was coded correctly, because ultimately, if somebody else can trick that smart contract into thinking that you're moving the coins, then your coins are gone. Okay. And the security of RGB++ is rooted in Bitcoin security. So we have pieces of the Bitcoin chain being used, and then CKB is adding smart contract functionality into the equation. And the relationship between these two chains gives us the ability to trade layer 2 assets directly for Bitcoin. So there's no need to, say, bridge your Bitcoin to another system in order to buy assets on the layer 2. And there's something really unique about the UTXO model, and that's that there are no failed transactions. Raise your hand if you ever had that pain of seeing a failed Ethereum transaction. Okay, plenty of people. you never experience this in Bitcoin. It never happens. It's one of the reasons that I enjoy using Bitcoin in ways that I don't with other chains. But a side effect of this is because those transactions never fail, you can have transactions and UTXOs on different blockchains that can be assembled together and used like Legos to create new kinds of systems, because there's certain reliability that you know that this transaction will either succeed or it won't have any sort of impact on the equation. So with RGB++, we can see this pathway to integrating together assets from different blockchains. They do need to be UTXO based. So we're talking about things like Cardano or Dogecoin or Bitcoin Cash. And we're also seeing the UTXO stack team that Cypher leads, building an app chain framework for people to start their own Bitcoin layer twos and to issue new assets. And because there are no bridges, assets can move through this ecosystem in a way that kind of gets away from the fragmentation that we currently see with bridges. We can present everything to kind of to the user in a unified way. And this holds the promise of a new era of DeFi. So one buzzword that I hope you'll be seeing soon, I'm seeing builders using it now, is BTCFi. And as we look ahead, the future of BTC looks bright. This is a great a great gathering place to have a Bitcoin bar, but also the future of building on top of Bitcoin looks incredibly bright. So RGB++ is just one of many different projects building in the Bitcoin space that are using Bitcoin's native features to do new things. And in the CKB community, I know that people are very energized by being a part of this and building alongside people who share the same kind of principles around self-sovereignty and decentralization. And I really appreciate your attention today. And I think we're all privileged to sit here. Thank you. We're all privileged to sit here and think about how we can advance Bitcoin after so many years. It's been almost 20 years, but we can still think about how Bitcoin could be even better. So I'm really looking forward to what we can do together to move this industry past the stagnation of Ethereum and the entire multitude of chains that have been built like it. And yeah, I have some references here you can check out. So thanks again for coming out, and I appreciate all your time.
Thanks a bunch, Matt. Don't go anywhere. You're going to be right back. You're going to be right back. Cypher will be joining us in a few minutes. So now we're going to try and, we heard a lot about what are the advantages, what's the difference with Ethereum versus Bitcoin and layer twos this way with the UTXO and all. So I'm going to give you my example, and I hope it gives you a concrete version of what's going on. So if you go on my site right now, if you go on Twitter and you see Count BTC, I just launched a sci-fi movie teaser, kind of chapter 1, right? It's called Blue Moon Orange Coin. Now, I've been telling people forever I'm going to write Bitcoin sci-fi, but I want to put a royalty token system on top of it so that early fans can get rewarded for their good taste, right? We want to kill the hipster affectation of, oh, I was a fan before they were popular, but now I can't be because they're popular. What we want to do is create a situation where someone brags, hey, do you know how rich that guy is? They were at the first concert for blah, blah, blah. They bought the first book. They were at the first thing. Because what we want to do is really monetize people's good taste. We want them to be first. We want that good taste to be rewarded. We want people who are trendsetters and tastemakers to be able to use that taste to make some money, right? Why not? Now, I tried for years to come up with a system to create this royalty token scheme on Bitcoin, and one didn't come because they're all based on Ethereum. And people would say, well, why don't you just build it on Ethereum? Or is it Ethereum even in your sci-fi books? And I would say, well, the book is set in the future, so not a lot of Ethereum in it. But what's really going on is we found a way with what they've built here, Cypher and Matt. What we found is a way to actually create a platform where someone can buy my book. That's it. They buy the book, and then a long time later, there'll be a pile of Bitcoin, and they can permissionlessly withdraw that Bitcoin depending on how early they were. And it works really simple. So pretty soon, my book is just right now, if you go on Twitter and you look in the comments, you'll see the link to the Hue Hub page, which is where I did the mint. I minted 25,000 art tokens, artist royalty tokens. And if you watch the video, you go in, you click the link, and you can get 10 of these things. And here's what they're going to do. Here's what's going to happen. When I have the full book, I will sell it on Amazon. On Amazon, you can actually send blinded email attachments without even knowing the person. And you can actually send tokens to them. So Amazon rewards early sales as a book platform. So do most of these algorithmic sales platforms, right? So do most algorithmic platforms for content. YouTube will reward you if people watch and don't drop watching, then the algorithm will kick in. What we're hoping to do is hijack Amazon's algorithm. So instead of having a publisher tell Amazon, pump this thing with your algorithm, we can actually do a token drop. And people can buy the book, and you would get this email attachment without ever sharing your email or anything. You just have to buy the book as you would on Amazon. You'll get the token like that. And then what we do is we take all of the fiat sales from Amazon and we put that into a AMM, a bonded curve pool. And what'll end up happening is we'll keep putting Bitcoin into that pool, more and more Bitcoin forever in perpetuity. Every time there's a sale, half of the sales goes into the pool. And that little token that you got from email, that little thing that came as an email attachment, is actually your IOU signifier. It tells how much percentage of the pool of Bitcoin is owed to you. So from then on, we can actually just withdraw that money. You can do it whenever you feel like, and you'll get your percentage of Bitcoin out. And my plan is to build a platform so that anyone can do exactly as I'm doing. I'm modeling it myself first. I've got a lot of books to sell, a lot of ideas that I've been putting on paper for years until something like this was available to me. It finally is. Now, the minting, you might say, oh, when was this available? Well, minting has always been easy, but I don't want to run an Ethereum pool 10 years from now. I want to set it and forget it. I want to put the Bitcoin in a pool, and I don't ever want to see it again. And I don't want to be even possible that I can steal that money, right? Once it's in there, only the token can take it out. And a hacker is going to have well, as far as we know now, there's no way in, right? It's not like it is what we've seen with the Ethereum stuff, because we've lessened the surface area of attack. We don't have the bridges. And we're going to describe all of that soon, because Cypher, the man who has actually developed this entire UTXO stack that will describe how we can actually get these permissionless Bitcoin pools in the hands of anyone who's interested in buying art and buying books and supporting artists and getting publishers out of the way, getting all these other folks out of the way. This would make the creator royalty contract look almost like the oil and gas royalty contract, where you will no longer have any publisher who's actually owning the copyright. Don't forget, the publishers in our traditional publishing tell the writer, here's a royalty check for you, you little bugger, for helping. You know, you wrote the book, that you could have done better than that. The publisher actually gets all the money. They own the copyright. We'll do it the right way. The actual creator will be at the source and center of the commercial relationships that go between the fan, the consumer of the content, and the actual creator of the content. It'll be a P2P network, creator and consumer. The publishers are the wicked third parties, just as the banks were. They're not doing anything for anyone anymore. So Cypher is going to tell you what we should be doing to get these guys out of the way. So please, a warm welcome for the author of the RGB++ protocol, Cypher. Great. So Cypher, first up, let's just talk about what this means to have a permissionless layer 2 and permissionless Bitcoin markets which exists. So we'll come back into the minting and all that stuff easier, because minting's easy, right? But let's just talk about what permissionless layer 2 Bitcoin really is.
I think permissionless means literally you don't need anyone to approve your transaction. Let's say Ethereum layer 2s, rollups, they are sequencers, and most of the Ethereum layer 2s are now only have one sequencers. And if the sequencer refuses your transaction, then your transaction cannot go on layer 2. So that's not permissionless. Of course, there's a trend that to decentralize the sequencers, which means you introduce multiple sequencers. However, the as long as there are sequencers, the POS, if all of them refuse your transaction, then you cannot go on chain. So a permissionless system means that no matter you don't care about the sequencers, you can always trigger your transaction on chain.
Yeah, I was going to add that it seems like it's hard enough in, say, the Ethereum community when you have a smart contract platform to have multiple sequencers, and then thinking about how you would do that for a Bitcoin layer 2 seems to be very like in the realm of at least hand waviness right now. Maybe it's impossibility, but it's very, very unclear.
But we've also seen the sort of surface area attack of the Ethereum layer 2 model greatly expand the opportunities for the thieves and the criminals and the scammers, right? And we've seen what's gone on with bridges, for example. What's different just from a 35,000 foot viewpoint for a surface area of attack and the lack of exploitability that you see in UTXO stack versus the Ethereum stack?
I think lots of attack surfaces difference from UTXO-based chain and account model-based chain. First of all, the bridge. Most of the Ethereum-based Bitcoin layer 2s, they rely on some multi-sig bridges. And multi-sig typically 12-3 or 3 of 5. If some of them are attacked, the most severe problem is you lost your money, and the bridge don't respond to your withdrawal transaction. They don't steal your money, but refuse to respond, so you cannot withdraw your money. That's one problem. And another problem is to be compared with the UTXO-based chain. Our solution is bridgeless. It's the nature of UTXO. We call it client-side validation. In our architecture, the RGB++ protocol, when you cross-chain your assets from layer 1 to layer 2, you don't really rely on any type of centralized or decentralized bridge. You just trigger a transaction and set the receiver's UTXO, and then you transfer the assets from layer 1 to layer 2 or layer 2 back to layer 1. So that's different.
Yeah, and that's just so everyone understands, that's what gave
All of that
me
makes sense.
the confidence, that it would last a long time and that I wouldn't have to. I could plan long term, right? If you're selling art and you're selling books, you don't want this exploitable bridge that no one's paying attention to, and then 10 minutes later or 10 years later, you gotta watch it, you gotta manage it and stuff like that. So I get to avoid that, right? That's what I'm going for. Yeah. So next up, just briefly describe that stack and where you think the main activity and the main opportunities are. I know I'm here minting and I want to use the DeFi applications. I want to use bonded curves and AMMs. So everything we've seen invented and pioneered, and we got to give the Ethereum folks credit for even coming up with the bonded curve pools. I think are just a lot of fun and I think have a good place in Bitcoin. What else do we see out of the stack? What's available to us? What can we create that we can't do on Ethereum, and what can we do that does it better than what Ethereum does already?
Actually, the DeFi thing is not the Bitcoin ecosystem is not really good at the DeFi thing previously, because the UTXO model is different from account model. Account model, you have the consensus help you to calculate the final result, but the UTXO thing, you have to calculate your result off chain and push the transaction on chain to verify it. So the different model results in that it's difficult to build some bounding curve AMM on Bitcoin directly or UTXO-based chain directly. And the good part is for us, the UTXO stack based on RGB++ layer, we build the layer 2 that we can handle and address this problem. And we already have UTXO swap. It's a Uniswap-like AMM services for Bitcoin ecosystem, which means you can swap your Bitcoin and another RGB++ assets to trade them as a Uniswap-like DEX. And we are also building bounding curve-based arbitrary bonding curve based DEX for users requirement needs, and we are building also building lending staking protocols. Yeah.
Great. So this question now is more on the ecosystem side and the people that are using it, and it's a frame that I've used to predict programming events and things like that. But basically, you can look at the human capital migrations into our industry as a predictive lens, right? So the industry started just as like a computer science thing, and the original shows that we programmed at CoinDesk, I was an old CoinDesk guy. The original consensus shows would have been thought of as just computer science, right? Computer engineering. But we saw the Wall Street people come, right? So we saw human capital migration. People quit computer science to get into Bitcoin and crypto. Then we saw actual traders quit professional Wall Street to come into our business. The next thing we saw were the creative people, right? They started quitting their normie world creative jobs and coming into Ethereum in order to find tooling to continue their professional careers. And along the way, we've seen Ethereum gather a lot of this human capital, right? They got a lot of the devs, then they got a lot of the traders that like to risk and trade in DeFi. They got all the degens, right? And then they got a lot of the artists. But now that we're entering another era in Bitcoin, I just programmed the Bitcoin Magazine show in Nashville. And people would ask me, well, what's different? I gave them this whole spiel that I just gave you about the human capital migration. But I said, what's different this time? It's just normal people. It's just normal people coming. People are worried about their grocery bills. And we never had that really before. We talk about it. We talk about them like they weren't there, like they were going to come and it was going to happen. Now it happened and they're here. And we found real people in Nashville saying, oh, geez, I'm here because I just can't get my mind around my grocery bill. That's the first time we've ever heard that. But what I see, again, from this human capital migration is Bitcoin's best chance to bring all this human capital into one place, to get back those developers that they lost from the original human capital migration into all kinds of blockchains. And then, again, the traders to bring that, even the degen spirit, right? All that stuff over to Bitcoin, to bring the artists over to Bitcoin, and then all together have a place where the normal people and all these people issuing, minting, creating, have a place to interact in the P2P network that exists, and we all know that is Bitcoin. So what do you see in this human capital migration? Are you seeing all these levels and layers that I told you about?
I think to get what you're talking about, we're going to need a new logo. I think I think the real problem with attracting, say if you want artists to come to Bitcoin, I think, there's definitely an opportunity because the NFT market just kind of died. I mean, because if you look at what happened with ordinals, right? People are like excited by ordinals because you can actually put the data on chain. And, looking at the possibilities of CKB and generalized UTXOs, like that is absolutely like the, if you think about like life, like that is like the emergence of like single cell life, but, much more complex life can be built out of art on blockchains. But the problem with Bitcoin is that Bitcoin's image is very much rooted in the past. Like that Bitcoin logo is, it'll be 20 years old pretty soon. So, for an artist to do something with that, it's probably going to look like the Bitcoin art that already exists. Like there's this need for kind of like something new. But I see the opportunity, but we have to kind of create that social movement that is maybe about more than just money. I mean, I think like when you say people are coming to Nashville because they're groceries, I don't know if buying Bitcoin fixes that. It certainly is a good thing if you have extra money to buy Bitcoin with it, but the next day, nothing's changed in their life. Now they have a little bit of Bitcoin. Maybe they feel a little better. Maybe they want to vote for Donald Trump, but nothing has actually changed the way things changed for, say, an NFT artist that minted on Ethereum, and they had a community. But we saw that just putting a hash on chain with someone who owns it of a monkey picture, like it didn't work out that well, and people could have told us that. But yeah,
there you go. So, but nevertheless, what's next, Cypher? What's the roadmap look like? Where are we headed from a developmental point of view here?
Yeah, we're building real Bitcoin native extensions for both the programmability and the scalability. And one more thing we want to bring to the ecosystem is it's something connected with the basic nature of Bitcoin, which is the proof of work and the UTXO. yes, you have seen lots of layer 2 solutions on top of Bitcoin. Babylon, BitLayer, BEVM, lots of these things. But in terms of the native thing, I think we are the only solution that puts the whole stacks of this. You may ask why you insist on Bitcoin native or UTXO, because it's very interesting that in this industry, I mean the blockchain system, people believe that the real innovation only happens in Ethereum or Solana, not Bitcoin. For example, we have ICO on Ethereum, we have Uniswap, we have NFT, we have lots of fashion things, DeFi stack, Flash Loan, MEV, all this fashion world happen on Ethereum. However, in the past 15 years, lots of innovation actually starts from Bitcoin. And this innovation is not compatible with Ethereum because of the very nature of Bitcoin. For example, the Lightning Network, state channel, you cannot actually run that on Ethereum. Although we have reading network once upon a time on Ethereum, but after 1 or 2 years, it shut down. By the way, reading network is something like Lightning Network on Ethereum.
I remember, yeah.
And we have privacy preserving solutions such as styles address, Mumble, on UTXO based chains, which is also very difficult to implement on Ethereum. And we also have super light client solutions, including SPV, UTXO, and the flat client, which also cannot achieve on Ethereum. So it is not a lack of innovation on Bitcoin. It's just not out of our radar. So our mission is to bring this technology, these innovations, together with our CKB, smart contract platform, together with proof of work and UTXO to make Bitcoin great again.
And
So I'll just add one more thing. You're asking what's happening. So I think in order to I may have given an incomplete answer before, but I think an important thing to get that economy, that Bitcoin economy moving, is making Lightning actually work. I think that is absolutely necessary to getting away from just buy Bitcoin, buy bullets, and hunker down. Like that. We need an economy around Bitcoin, and I know that with BitVM and the other chains that people hope to launch using them, that's one effort. On the CKB side, we're also working on Lightning integration, and the hope is that due to having a new substrate to work with that is Turing complete, is a smart contract platform, is UTXO based, doesn't suffer from those problems with Ethereum, maybe we can add something here, and it can kind of change the paradigm of things. Because go ahead.
And working on the Nostr integrations too along the same lines, right? Now I want to go back just to the last part. This is the last part of the stack we're going to cover. We're going to go right back to the beginning, the minting part. So what I find interesting about minting and what you were talking about innovation, indeed, there were innovations for minting other tokens with Counterparty in the very early days of Bitcoin, which involved burning a little Bitcoin in order to create new assets. So what I just did, if you could describe under the hood a little bit about what I did earlier today by minting on HuHub, what does it look like from a conceptual point of view when you mint using HuHub and the CKB system?
I think the Bitcoin layer 1 SS protocol, including BRC20, ARC20, runes, and Arduinos, and something like that, they act to mint something, which means you record some data in the Bitcoin blockchain. Typically, there's several data fields, including OP return data field or the taproot witness data field. But for us, RGB++, it's different. We record the hash result of your minting action or minting script in Bitcoin chain, and the original transaction actually executed and verified on CKB chain.
Mhm.
With this technology, we call it isomorphic binding to band these two chains together. So that's how we achieve tooling complete transaction on Bitcoin layer one. So you can always mint your assets on different assets protocol, but only with RGB protocol, your assets have the feature of tooling complete ready, which means your assets could be empowered later by your utility built with your smart contracts, like you distribute your revenue from Amazon store.
Yeah.
That's the very unique feature you can gain from our protocol.
Yeah, which is why I did it, and I've seen them all. I've been waiting for this for a few years, so it's finally here. I'm so glad Cypher could make it here to New York City. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you, Cypher. Thanks for
Thank
investing
you,
in
thank
that.
you, thank you, everyone.
And please give Matt for all your work with the CKB ecosystem. Thanks a ton, my man. Great. No, this has been great. So everyone, we got the drinks, we got the food. There's some desserts coming out. Please enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you all for coming.
Thank
And
you.
one more applause for the CKB folks. Thank you so much. All right, and that does it for our broadcast.